This is CNN, a service of Turner Broadcasting System.
This is Day Watch on CNN for Friday, January 30th. With Reid Collins in Washington, Marianne Loughlin and Bob Kane in Atlanta, and Lynn Brown in New York.
Good morning. The Senate Intelligence Committee now has released its final report on the Iran-Contra affair. As CNN's Anthony Collins reports, the committee's leaders stressed the 65-page document makes no final conclusions, but does address some important issues.
The new report avoided some of the conclusions of an earlier draft. That earlier version had stressed as significant the lack of evidence that President Reagan knew of the diversion of funds to the Contras. The new report draws no such conclusion.
You cannot finally resolve that question, obviously, when you do not have the testimony of Mr. North, Mr. Poindexter, and many others.
The report says a memo prepared last spring and found in the White House safe of Oliver North called for $12 million to be diverted to the Contras. The report says it is not clear who saw the memo at the time. The report says Attorney General Meese discovered the memo last November and confronted North. The report cites notes from Meese's inquiry. They show North said he did not know how much money the Contras got. This was up to the Israelis. North reportedly said he only knew of $3 to $4 million that may have gone to the Contras. North, according to the report, was visibly shaken when shown the memo. The committee says it traced Iranian arms sales money to a Cayman Islands bank account set up for the Contras, but it did not know if the Contras actually got it. An unanswered question is, when did President Reagan approve Israeli involvement in arms deals with Iran?
There is still a dispute that has existed from the time the testimony was taken between Bud McFarland's testimony, that of the White House, in terms of whether the president originally authorized the Israelis to go forward with the sale.
The report will provide the basis for more investigation, this time by the new Senate Select Committee on Iran and the Contras.
Well, this report, as stated by the Intelligence Committee, is incomplete. It does not reach any conclusion, and I think appropriately so. It is the job of the Iran Probe Select Committee to make those findings.
The 65-page report ends with 14 unanswered questions. Among them, what role did White House officials have in the Iran-Contras affair? That basic question now goes to the Senate Select Committee to investigate. Anthony Collins, CNN, Washington.
A little closer look at those 14 unanswered questions that the Intelligence Committee report presents to the House and Senate Select panels. Among them are, what exact role did the White House staff members play in the sale of arms to Iran and the possible diversion of the funds to the Contras? What role did the CIA and other U.S. agencies play in the sale of arms and the possible diversion of the funds? What role did private individuals, both U.S. citizens and others, play in the operation? Why did U.S. officials rely on private individuals? What role did other governments such as Israel's play, and what forms of assistance other than that approved by the Congress did the Contras actually receive? The Intelligence Committee's report also indicates that the White House had used the Voice of America to help smooth its relationship with Iran. Specifically, the report says the Voice of America broadcast an editorial thanking the Iranians for refusing to grant landing rights to the hijackers of that TWA jet in June of 1985. The committee says the CIA and the National Security Council had jointly drafted the editorial. The report says it was the NSC that persuaded the United States Information Agency to run the editorial on VOA, arguing that it came from the highest levels. Special Counsel Lawrence Walsh is moving to take over 3 ongoing investigations into the Iran-Contra affair. Indications he may take on others as well. The Justice Department's been notified by Walsh that he will take over 3 criminal probes in Miami and in Georgia, cases involving private efforts to supply the Contra rebels. Meanwhile, the chairman of the House panel investigating the Iran affair has notified Walsh the committee may just grant limited immunities to some key witnesses. Now, Walsh has said in the past that such an action would be premature. More problems reported for the White House Chief of Staff Donald Regan this morning. A newspaper report says President Reagan is facing the resignations of some key cabinet members if Regan is not fired. The Boston Herald is listing the Secretary of State Schultz, Defense Secretary Weinberger, and Treasury Secretary Baker as among those threatening to quit. The paper quotes a senior administration official as saying the cabinet members are blaming Reagan for allowing the Iran controversy to damage their credibility on Capitol Hill. Another alleged concern, poor management in the final 2 years of Mr. Reagan's tenure that might result in the election of a Democrat as president in 1988.
It's 5 minutes past the hour. The sound of a powerful car bomb explosion echoed through Beirut today. A bomb exploded near a busy shopping center in Christian East.